Hello, a warm welcome to you all from SGT University. I'm Dr. Sarju, HOD, Center for Languages and Communication. Today, we will be learning about linguistics. Did it ring a bell? Linguistics, have you heard about this word? Well, let us find out. Linguistics is the scientific study of language. Linguists traditionally analyze human language by observing an interplay between sound and meaning. A scientific study of language and its structure, including the study of grammar, syntax, and phonetics, is called linguistics. Grammar is a system of rules which governs the production and use of utterances in a given language. Grammatical rules apply to sound as well as meaning and include componential subsets of rules such as those pertaining to phonology, that is the organization of phonetic sound systems. In India, Panini's Sanskrit grammar is still considered to be one of the greatest scholarly linguistic works. The Greeks and the Romans also wrote grammars and discussed the sounds of language and the structure of words and sentences. In Europe, Roman Jakobson, one of the founders of the Prague School of Linguistics, came to America in 1941 and contributed substantially a new developments in the field of phonology. Many modern theories that deal with the principles of grammar are based on Noam Chomsky's framework of generative linguistics. In the early 20th century, Ferdinand de Saussure distinguished between the notions of Langue and Parole in his formulation of structural linguistics. According to him, parole is the specific utterance of speech, whereas Langue refers to an abstract phenomenon that theoretically defines the principles and system of rules that govern a language. This distinction resembles the one made by Noam Chomsky between competence and performance in his theory of transformative or generative grammar. According to Chomsky, competence is an individual's innate capacity and potential for language, while performance is the specific way in which it is used by individuals, groups, and communities. Langue comprises the rules of grammar of a language, the syntax, the phonetics, spellings, etc. Parole is making use of these rules to produce utterances. Langue is the system and parole is the use of the system. An individual can use the language system to produce speech and also to produce writing. Langue in French means language and parole means speaking, are linguistic terms distinguished by Ferdinand de Saussure in his course in General Linguistics. Parole refers to the concrete instances of the use of Langue. Langue is the system and parole is the use of the system. An individual can use the language system to produce speech and also to produce writing. Hence, writing is also an act of parole. The complete language cannot exist without Langue and Parole. Recall LAD, Language Acquisition Device, which I mentioned in the language lecture. Human beings are born with the capability to acquire language. Universal grammar takes into account general formal structures and features that are common to all dialects and languages, and the template of which pre-exists in the mind of an infant child. This idea is based on the theory of generative grammar and the formal school of linguistics, whose proponents include Noam Chomsky and those who follow his theory and work. Let us move on to the next topic, branches of linguistics. The main branches of linguistics are phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, sociolinguistics, psycholinguistics, neurolinguistics, historical linguistics. Other specific branches of linguistics include dialectology, computational linguistics, comparative linguistics, structural linguistics, and so on. We will be discussing the main 10 branches in this lecture. Let us find out more about the branches of linguistics one by one. Phonetics. Phonetics is a branch of linguistics that studies the sounds of human speech. It is concerned with the physical properties of speech sounds or signs, their physiological production, acoustic properties, auditory perception, and neurophysiological status. Phonetics. Phonetics investigates how speech sounds are articulated, transmitted, and perceived. It is the study of speech and non-speech sounds and delves into their acoustic and articulatory properties. Phonetics is divided into 3 types according to the production, that is articulatory, transmission, that is acoustic, and perception, that is auditive, of sounds. There are 3 types of study of sounds of language. Acoustic phonetics, the study of the physical properties of sound. Auditory phonetics, the study of the way listeners perceive sounds. Articulatory phonetics, the study of how the vocal tract produces the sounds. The 3 categories of sound must be recognized at the outset. Phone, that is human sounds. Phoneme, units which distinguish meaning in a language. Allophone, the non-distinctive units. Phonology, the sound patterns of language. Phonology deals with the systematic patterns in the sound system of a given language. Phonology tells us what sounds are in a language, how they do and can combine into words, and explain why certain phonetic features are important to identify a word. There are only a dozen or so features needed to describe every speech sound in every human language. All the languages in the world sound so different because the way the languages use speech sounds to form patterns differ from language to language. The study of how speech sounds form patterns is phonology. The phonemes are the basic unit of sound and are sensed in our mind rather than spoken or heard. Morphology. Morphology is the study of the structure and form of words in language or a language, including inflection, derivation, and the formation of compounds. At the basic level, words are made of morphemes. These are the smallest unit of meaning, root, and affix. Affix includes both prefix and suffix. In linguistics, morphology is the study of words, how they are formed, and their relationship to other words in the same language. It analyzes the structure of words and parts of words such as stem, root words, prefix, and suffix. Syntax. Syntax examines the structure of the sentence, how it is generated in the brain. In linguistics, syntax is the set of rules, principles, and processes that govern the structure of sentences in a given language, including word order. The term syntax is also used to refer to the study of such principles and processes. Syntax is a form of grammar. It is concerned primarily with word order in a sentence and with the agreement of the words when they are used together. So syntax is the study of sentences and their structure and the constructions within sentences. So syntax tells us what goes where in a sentence. Next, semantics. Semantics deals with the meaning of words, phrases, and sentences. Semantics began its life in the late 19th century as a technical word in the field of semiotics, referring to such topics as the relation between signs and the things to which they refer. It was quickly adopted by the field of linguistics and applied to the study of the meaning of words. The field of linguistics is concerned with the study of meaning in language. Linguistic semantics has been defined as the study of how languages organize and express meanings. Pragmatics. Pragmatics is a branch of linguistics concerned with the use of language in social contexts and the ways people produce and comprehend meanings through language. Pragmatics deals with how situational context influences the production of meaning. It focuses on the hidden meaning of words, phrases, and sentences. For example, in a restaurant, when you tell the waiter, "I don't have a spoon," it is a request for a spoon. Sociolinguistics investigates the relationship between language and society and how people communicate power through language. Sociolinguistic fieldwork is the recording of speech within a natural context, such as a family dinner conversation. The goal of fieldwork is to capture the way people actually talk in casual settings. This gives researchers the best possible representation of the natural linguistic world. Sociolinguistics is the descriptive study of the effect of any and all aspects of society, including cultural norms, expectations, and context, on the way language is used and society's effect on language. It differs from sociology of language, which focuses on the effect of language on society. Psycholinguistics. Psycholinguistics investigates the relation between language psychology. Psycholinguistics, or psychology of language, is the study of the interrelation between linguistic factors and the psychological aspects. The discipline is mainly concerned with the mechanism by which language is processed and represented in the mind and brain, that is, the psychological and neurobiological factors that enable humans to acquire, use, comprehend, and produce language. Neurolinguistics. Neurolinguistics examines the language areas and structure in the brain similar to anatomy courses. Neurolinguistics is the study of how language is represented in the brain, that is, how and where our brains store our knowledge of the language that we speak, understand, read, and write, what happens in our brains as we acquire the knowledge, and what happens as we use it in our everyday lives. Historical linguistics. Historical linguistics studies how language evolve, die, and revitalize. The study of linguistic change over time in language or in a particular language or language family, sometimes including the reconstruction of unattested forms of earlier stages of language. Western modern historical linguistics dates from the late 18th century. It grew out of the earlier discipline of philology, is the study of language in oral and written historical sources. It is the intersection of textual criticism, literary criticism, history, and linguistics. Philology is more commonly defined as the study of literary texts as well as oral and written records, the establishment of their authenticity, the study of ancient texts and documents dating back to antiquity. At first, historical linguistics served as the cornerstone of comparative linguistics, primarily as a tool for linguistic reconstruction. So finally, we have discussed all the 10 branches of linguistics. So let's sum up. Linguistics is the scientific study of language. It involves an analysis of language form, language meaning, and language in context. Beginning around the 6th century BC, linguistics began to be studied systematically by the Indian scholar Panini, who is generally regarded as the father of linguistics. This lesson will definitely help you understand language better, the origin, and how we should treat the sentences and how a particular word to be sounded or to be pronounced. Today we have discussed about linguistics, its branches, and I'm sure it will help you understand languages better. In the next class we will learn more about sentences. So keep learning, keep growing. See you next time.